International Council. Make sure you always watch Trend Africa TV.
Welcome to Africa.
Yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to A Toast to Life by Juliet Ibrahim. Juliet Ibrahim is a Ghanaian actress, a very nice one who has features in a lot of movies. She is an actress, a philanthropist, a humanitarian, and a writer. She is of a Ghanaian, Liberian, and Lebanese descent. She is here tonight in the city of Chicago, and this program is being filmed by Trend African TV with the CEO, Royal Black Jesus, as the producer, and as usual, Nana Mafu, the legendary MC and the CEO of OmamaTV, as the event host and the red carpet hoster. Tonight, we welcome the city of Chicago. The African community are invited to here come and then experience this event. So in the meantime, we are going to talk to a couple of people. Tonight, Miss Felicia Appery Agyare is the main host, hosting the main event. And as usual, Nana Mafu, I'm assisting Trend African TV, the powerful TV station within the Ghanaian community in Chicago, to also feature the event on their Facebook Live. Tonight we have Mr. Kendi, another philanthropist, also in the house. We have a lot of dignitaries, important personalities, the GPNA executive, the president. We have Miss Richner and other loved ones here. So I'd like to talk to a couple of people to see what is going on. Hi, Mr. Ziga. Good evening to you.
Evening.
How are you?
Doing wonderful.
Who is this beautiful lady by your side? Oh, okay. Hello. What's your name?
My name is Abla.
Okay. Abla? I think that's my first time seeing it. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I know what else about it. Thank you very much, Abla. Oh, okay. Nice meeting you. Yeah. You are welcome to this special event. Yeah. So what brought you here this evening?
What brought me here? Actually, I think the most important thing is to be here to support one of our own. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So I'm here to be part of this, great achievement that she have done so far, and here to support one of our own.
Anyway, thank you very much. In the meantime, I'll come and talk to you again. I just want to talk to the host. Thank you.
Walking the fashion runway and being the face of a major brand in West Africa. In 2004, she made her film debut in Crime and Price and immediately became the toast of filmmakers in Africa, going on to feature in over 100 productions to date and earning the 2010 Ghana Awards Best Lead Actress in the movie. She made her directorial debut with the reality series Every Woman Has a Story, and has production credits for films such as the number one Fan and Shattered Romance, both in which enjoy critical success in Africa. She has released multi-tracks in her career featuring many top Afrobeat musicians. The mother of one was born in Ghana and raised in Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Lebanon. She is a graduate of the Ghana Institute of Languages, the International School of Aviation, and has attended the Ghana Institute of Journalism to study public relations, marketing, and advertising. Hey, okay. She is the owner of the fashion company House of Glamour cosmetic brand. Shades by Juliet Ibrahim, and a film production company, Jules Production. A brand ambassador and a seasoned comparer, Ms. Ibrahim was the grander host of the world-famous CAF Awards in 2015. And has hosted many other top events in Africa and in the diaspora. She has worked with major companies in Africa such as Globacom, Centricon, Motor Cosmetics, Boomplay, Microsoft Lubia, and you're going to kill me because I'm going to ask some people about this, Canocolan, Sun International, South Africa Tourism, and Dubai Tourism. Ms. Ibrahim, and I want to just apologize because in Africa, you know, it's the different dialects. We have different pronunciations of how you say Ibrahim. So when I've said a couple of times, and I want to personally apologize, not that I don't know her last name, but sometimes, you know, every dialect has it differently. So Ariel, thank you for correcting me to say Ibrahim, right? Thank you. Ibrahim and founded Ms. Ibrahim founded the Juliet Ibrahim Foundation, also known as GIF, in 2011 as a vehicle to enhance public awareness of kidney diseases. The foundation also has several other programs every year addressing emerging public health concerns such as the Ebola epidemic. She continues to take every stage and role as important as the last one, giving her fans and event organizers a delight beyond expectations. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Ms. Juliet Ibrahim.
My name is Eunice Cromwell, and I'm the business manager of the Ghana National Council. Make sure you always watch Trend Africa TV.
How are you? Good. Doesn't she look lovely, guys? Very lovely.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Ibrahim. So I would like to first just let you know that I've read excerpts of the book, and I was amazed. Do you mind people knowing your age? Testing? Testing. Well, people could Google your age and know how old you are, but just knowing your age and what you've been through, it was really, I was impressed. And not only at your accolades that I just read, but just your story and how you survive and you keep a smile on your face and looking so beautiful. So a lot of people do not. Testing? Okay. So a lot of people do not know what you've been through. And so I wanted to let people know that this beautiful woman, if you have not read her story, she was a survivor of 3 civil wars. I'm Ghanaian American, and I thought I was part of one of the wars, civil wars in Ghana, but nothing compared to what you went through. So what I wanted to know is you spoke about your mom being shot at in one of the wars, and it was just something that I don't know how I will be able to feel and see and being part of. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, how have those experiences affected the woman that you are today, and how has the trauma of seeing your mom being shot affected you?
Thank you. I'd like to say thanks to everyone who came out tonight to support me and be here. It means a lot. And to answer your question, that particular incident happened when we were leaving Liberia to Ivory Coast. So we were at the border, and the border between that part of Liberia and going into Ivory Coast was divided by a river. So we were just opposite, and we could see, across the river, we could see Ivory Coast. And the rebels stopped us, and I was about 8 years old at the time. I was 7 going on 8. And I'm the firstborn of my family, so I was in the car, and it asked the men to get out of the car. So my dad got out with the other guys, and the rebels were harassing them for money and other stuff. And my mom came out of the car when she heard them going back and forth after my dad had given them the money he had. And she recognized one of the rebels and spoke with him and was like, okay, I know you, like, so why are you doing this to us? We used to be cool before. And he's like, well, I don't care. I just need money. Give us all your money and stuff like that. My mom was like, we don't have anything. We've given everything we have to you already. And he said, okay, if you don't get out of your husband's front, I will shoot you. And I would dig potatoes. That's what he said, which is sort of like shooting into the ground. And my mom was like, I'm not moving in front of my husband, because if you want to do anything to him, you have to do it to me. And she was carrying my little sister in her hand, and the rebels started shooting between her legs, and she was just jumping, and we were all screaming in the car, and it was crazy. But it happened for some few seconds. Then a jet bomber started flying, and what happens when a jet bomber starts flying is everybody has to be still, because once there's movement, they will drop a bomb in that place of movement. So the rebels were like, we should cover up our car. So they had this green leaf thing they make, and they always carry with them to cover up their own car. So they covered their car and our car, and asked all of us to run into the plantain, like the plantain plantation. So we ran in there, and everybody was still. As soon as the jet bomber passed, the rebels ran into their car and drove off, leaving us there. So immediately, our dad and mom was like, everybody into the canoe on the river, like, run, let's just move. So the kids got on the canoe, and the women, then the men paddled along and swam across. And in that process, I lost a cousin who drowned. And it was just a very crazy moment, but that was my first time ever, like, coming close to death. I saw death for the first time. I was very young. People were screaming. I didn't know what emotions were coming through me at the time. And it was actually when I was writing the book that I actually lived it again. And I felt it. And I was really like, wow. So if I was all grown up at that time, I don't know what I would have done, probably wouldn't have been able to get over all those emotions. But because I was very young, I was able to move on a bit quickly and heal from it at the time. But it was crazy because with the wars, it still happens that now, even till now, with my family, when is December period and Christmas time and people are shooting fireworks, we're always terrified. Because especially midnight, you just hear somebody shooting fireworks behind your house, who just jump and like we're thinking what's happening. And then you have to realize that, oh, it's just fireworks. So it's had an impact on our lives and how we see things, and we don't really even do fireworks in our household. Yeah, we don't.
I thank you for that. I appreciate you. Did you guys feel that? Yeah, I really felt that. So thank you for sharing that with us. Do you think that many women in Africa has had to carry a certain load when it comes to experiences like war in their countries? And how have women like your mom impacted women in your generation?
I think a lot of African women are very strong. We are not really given the accolades that we deserve. African women are very strong women. And I've seen so many other African women go through wars and being like displaced and stuff like that, even internally displaced women, and I see how they still carry themselves. They just move on like, oh, it happened, and they're still doing well. They're still finding means to make ends meet within wherever they find themselves and stuff like that. So we had to live as a refugee in Ivory Coast, and I saw how other women were able to pick themselves back up. It was so easy for them to start the petty trades that they know. If it's cooking that they're good at, they start cooking right from the wherever space they have. Like taking care of the kids, and they always make sure that they want the kids to go to school and just be perfect at the same time. So my mom was a huge source of inspiration for me because she never really made it look like, oh, we are in deep shit, sort of. Everything just seems like it's okay. Like she's doing her best. She and my dad were always like ready to make us feel like the best children in the world, that we had everything, and they will never leave our side, they will never forsake us and stuff like that. So with her being my mother, I grew into a very strong woman. I just followed her footsteps. Like I saw that I needed to keep pushing in whatever that I went through in life. I needed to just keep pushing and not be down at any point. I don't remember ever seeing her sad or crying, never. The only time I actually saw her sad a little bit was when we were waiting for my dad, because after we got to Ivory Coast, he went back again into Liberia to try and bring some more money and goods and stuff with his brother, and we didn't hear from him for months. So she was really down, but she didn't cry. She was always making, oh, he's coming, he'll come back. And she would always, but I was a bit older then, so I could feel that she was a bit down, and she's been a strong woman all these years. So I would say African mothers are just awesome. They are.
And, I can relate to that, having a Ghanaian mom. I only think I've seen my mom cry at funerals. And all of the hurt, seriously, right? That's when because that's when it's okay to let everyone see you have some type of emotion. Yeah. So but I'm sure, behind closed doors, and we're gonna come back. We all as women, African American, we have pains that we do not share with everyone. Maybe our close friends, but not our kids, because they look up to us. We're the superheroes for them. Other than their fathers. So I totally understand that. So let me ask you this. Okay, we're going to come back to that because I want to get to the second excerpt, okay? You have shown in one of your second excerpts that I read about having an experience of being raped and molestation. And a lot of Africans, third world countries I've read too, I mean, even here, we go through that, and we have to not, as kids, you don't know what you're going through, and so you just don't, you freeze. And we have in the African culture, we don't talk a lot about our pain and what we've experienced, especially as kids. So I want to ask you, in the excerpt that I read, I know a lot of, now that I'm older, I know a lot of women who
Ariel.
Yeah, I know.
That was funny.
I know a lot of testing. Okay, so I speak loud. I'm a loud talker anyway. But I know a lot of women who went through that, or some type of inappropriate touching that happened, and not everyone talk about it. I'm sure that one out of probably every 5 women have experienced it. As being a public figure and what you're going through, what inspired you to tell the story about it? Testing. Okay, you gotta speak loud.
Okay, so it took me years to even try to talk about it. And like you said, a lot of us are judged when we come out to talk about rape or molestation and even domestic violence. Yeah. People will still mock you and, always try to play like, okay, you're just trying to play victim, but what did you go and do there? Who sent you? What were you wearing? And all of that. And that's the mentality of people in the society back home. You guys out here are a little bit lucky because you have the law on your side. You can have proper investigation done and all of that. So it's different. But back home, we don't really have all of that. So if you come out to say these things, half of the time you have women thinking, if I say it, is there really going to be a proof? Like, is there going to be the law on my side? how will people see me tomorrow if I'm walking? Would I even get a husband? Would I, all these questions come up. And because of that, we find women living with these things, till they die. Nobody talks about it. And that's just because of the stigmatization in the African society. Yeah. For me, I believe that I was put in this position for a reason. And it's not just to just be in the spotlight and all the glamorous lifestyle. I feel like I need to use my position to impact others and be a voice for so many people that are voiceless, sort of. So if I can start something and have more people talking and even encourage some people to start talking, I'll be like, yay, I did it. At least 2 people spoke out because I started something. And it's going to take some time. I can't be the one to change how society see things back home, but it starts from somewhere.
You say you want to be the one to change, or you don't want to?
I can't do it. I can't do it alone. Yeah, I can't do it alone. So, but it still starts from somewhere, and that's with me speaking up and making it a topic of discussion. So when people sit down and they read the book, or they read an interview where I said, hey, I've been raped before, or I was molested by an uncle or a cousin, they start talking, and then you have families saying, oh, so this happened to her, so it could have happened to any other person, or it can happen to my kids. So they start paying attention to the kids and all of that. So that's the kind of conversation I want to create, with my book and sharing my stories. I know most people will be like, maybe you should have just kept quiet, because at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything to the person who did it to you. But it's a way of healing for me as well. Talking about it, getting it off my chest, it helps you heal. As a woman, it helps you to just be better, to know that you have let go, you have forgiven the person, and you know better. But you can also use that experience to protect your younger ones and other women around you. Even the men are getting raped and they are being molested, but men, for instance, because of their ego, they won't really talk about it. You don't even hear it like that. Guys will not just come and say, oh, I was raped at the age of this thing, or I was molested by this person, a nanny or something. It's hard, but it's happening. So it will take time for Africans to start talking about these things and knowing that it's wrong, that it's not a normal thing to see. Because you see a girl in a miniskirt means you should jump on her.
Right.
It will take some time, but it will help if the laws are also enforced and we have people talking about it. Like we have joint voices, like women talking, men against it, and they're not saying it as the norm. It will help. So I just started this to have a voice, sort of, for people who are voiceless.
Okay, and before I ask that question, this is a simple yes or no. Did you tell your mom about this before you wrote in the book? I'm just curious.
No, so I didn't get to tell my mom about my experiences. Like you said, when you're very young, my first experience was with my uncle at the age of 8. So I was very young at the time, and he molested me. So I walked into the room, my mom sent me, and he asked me to come. I closed the door and come inside. So I went there, and he unzipped his pants and put out his penis. Wow. and put my hand on it. So I had to struggle my way out of my hand being on there and fight my way out and run out of the room. I got lucky.
Yeah.
Then when I got out of the room, I didn't know what to do. I was confused because my parents were outside. His kids were outside. The cousins, everybody was outside on the balcony. So I'm thinking, what do I do? Like, how do I get there and start saying, I just got molested, or like somebody maybe. I was just thinking a whole lot, like, what would they ask? What would they say? How do you know what a penis is, or what? Like at 8 years old, what am I going to say? I was just confused, and I knew what he did was wrong. I just didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to say it or voice it out. So what I just did from there was pretend that nothing had happened, but was very scared to go close to him again. And I started policing my sister. Whenever she goes to the house, I'm behind her. But I know I warned my sister, Sonia, not to go to him again. I told her whenever she's going there, she should let me know. So I was always behind her. So she never went into the room, to his room. And even my cousins also did their part, where when, you know, like you're playing and then you want to jump on the back of the boy and then he's carrying you, the next thing is he's fingering you at the back. Yeah. So it happens to a lot of girls. These things are happening, people are not talking about it. But if someone like me speaks up and says these things, parents at home would be able to pay attention to their kids and the kind of people that they bring around the kids. Yeah.
Having an 8-year-old, and I'm going to get back to this, having an 8-year-old, I can only imagine, and I teach my daughter about, your brother can't even pick you up. You know, you just do not, I mean, I don't suspect him to do that, but you had an uncle that somebody you love and trusted, you know. So and I think here in this society in America, we are very big on that. And so like the Me Too movement, and that was one getting to that question, you know, we are teaching our kids now because more women are speaking up, and they're teaching their kids and telling them what signs to look for, especially when it has happened to you. You have a vivid imagination of it, memory of it. And so with that question of, with that being said, I wanted to ask you that, you know about the Me Too movement now here in America, and it's getting everywhere. What do you think about something like that happening in Africa? Do you think that it can happen in Africa? Because the society there is very strong. They are traditional, and it is hard to break away from that mentality that like this is right, even though we know it's wrong. You know, what do you think about Me Too movement in Africa, and what do you think? What do you think about that happening in Africa?
I think it's a very good movement that started here, and when it started, we also joined in. A lot of us joined in, and a couple of comments that were coming in was like, "You people want to join everything? Must you join every trend?" You see, that's the mentality of the people back home, and you know, like you said, the media doesn't even help. You know, if you have the media pushing a right movement like the Me Too movement in a positive way, people reading would read it in a positive way. But if you're reading or if you're putting out publications in a way that makes it sound like it's something silly, then you have majority assuming that it's silly. You know, now is a new trend where headlines must be silly. And everybody will just read the headline and move on without reading the body of the message. And it's a new thing, which we are trying to deal with already in the government in Ghana with them, that they need to be able to properly structure the media and what comes out. Because sometimes you just see a headline. For instance, when I started speaking about rape and molestation on my Twitter page, people were commenting and tweeting at me, "Why are you taking this personal?" Those are the comments I was getting. "Why are you taking this rape thing personal? You, if I get you, I will rape you." You know, those were the comments that were coming on Twitter. And blogs and the media takes it and makes it a headline news the next day. So you wake up in the morning and go on a very popular news page. Fan says he will rape Juliet Ibrahim. And it's a headline. You're not cautioning the government or the law enforcement agencies to catch this person and teach them a lesson that it's not something funny. It's not something you can joke about online, you know. So a lot of things need to be put into place, and a movement like that is going to help. You know, a movement like that is going to help a lot, because people can be able to stand with someone and stand with something and fight for something at the end of the day, that hey, it can happen to anybody, you know, and respect is needed. You need to respect people. You can't just talk to a woman anyhow, but it's common back home. Like I said, the law is on your side here. You know, the women have some sort of, at least, rights and privilege out here, which is good. But I think that's one thing we have to even start fighting for back home, where it is not about what tradition says and stuff like that, that women have to be respected and treated with respect.
Absolutely. So my next question to you was, how have you healed from this experience?
So how I've healed, I would say I didn't go to any therapist or psychologist when all these things happened, because I felt like my way of dealing with everything was moving on and just like letting go. So I let go, and I always believe that everything happened for a reason. It was meant to make me stronger, and I was meant to be in a better place. So I move on with things. I didn't have the time to heal until I started writing the book. So that was like the best decision I've made. Yeah. So when I started writing the book, I had to relive those moments, those experiences, and that was my way. So where I needed to pause and cry and let go, I did that. And that's why I can proudly talk about it. I can, I can boldly say things that happened to me. Before, I won't even say, even if I'm in a relationship, I won't even talk about it. That's a past I won't even go into. So it was that, it was hidden deep, deep down inside. Yeah. So writing the book is now like my way of healing. It was very therapeutic for me. I've been able to go through everything, so I can have like a normal conversation about it now. And I'm like, I went through it. I'm proud that I came out the way I came out.
You also, I'm going to get back to the question, but this is the question I have for you. So you also, back at home, of course, there's no therapy for this. Do you think that if you would have had therapy then, you think that would have had effect on the way that you talk about? Maybe the book wouldn't have came. So, this was your therapy now, but do you think professional therapy would have helped?
Well, it depends. It would help. Like people say that therapy is always the best solution when you have, these things, and it's for people who are also softer. Some people who can really, be able to get over experiences and stuff like that. So I always recommend that for people. Like I have young girls and women that meet me after my book signing events and stuff, and they tell me they're still going through some stuff till date, and they can't even tell anybody. I always will recommend that you need to speak to someone. And there are now in Ghana and Nigeria, there are a lot of therapists now, a lot of psychologists. People are, it's there.
We need it.
So it's there. So I always tell them to reach out to someone. I have a couple of friends that I recommend for these things. And even when I did my book, I have a friend, she's a therapist, so we spoke about a lot of things, and she told me that, okay, definitely she has seen that I'm long over and gone, like everything, because we spoke about it, and she's like, are you sure, you're healed properly? So we went back and forth on things, and she said I was fine, that I was okay. So I think everybody needs to talk to someone at the end of the day, because all these things have psychological effects on you. Like I said, for the wars, for instance, fireworks was like, for me was, so it happens. You need to talk to someone,
and I just had to ask you that, because this could be somebody's therapy. So I'm not saying that, you're not healed, but this is your healing to us, because you are able to explain it, and, we feel it. And so thank you for that.
Thank you.
So your excerpt 3 that I read. Your statement, "Sisters Over Bros," is a real powerful as we see in the media more and more of women choosing to pick men over anything. How important is it for women to truly invest in a sisterhood that involves honoring another woman no matter what?
Okay, so with that is it started from when my woman empowerment perception. I believe that women have to be there for each other, and if we can support each other, we will go far. With Sisters Over Bros, in that part of my book, it was more about my experiences with women along the line, having my heartbreaks. And for instance, my very first heartbreak was with my first boyfriend. It was my cousin. My cousin and him had something doing. So I was broken. I was like, what? My cousin of all people, But when it happened, I realized that it wasn't the girl's fault. She's a woman, and it's the guy. He was committed to me. So if he broke the commitment, why do I take it out on the girl? So all those things I started learning and realized that women tend to be in blind competition, or we try to make ourselves our own enemies when we're actually not. Because tomorrow if a guy leaves you, all you have is your friend, who's the girl, or your sisters, and that's it. So we need to support each other and stop the blind competition. So I wanted to just use the book also to inspire women on helping and the power of sisterhood and how we need to support each other. And even if there's another instance in the book where I met a guy, we're dating, he was a divorcee, and the only side of things was his side of things that I heard. I never heard from the woman that he divorced. I didn't know what happened, but I heard what he said happened. So only to find out in the relationship when he got violent towards me, that I started thinking that what if I had found that woman that he divorced and asked her why? Because if he was a perfect guy, they wouldn't have divorced. So something must have gone wrong. So it's only when I had the experience with him when he became violent in a relationship that I started to think that probably she went through the same thing. That's why they had their divorce. You know, so I just spoke about all these things in the book because women need to realize that we are not our enemies. Because I dated your ex-boyfriend doesn't mean that, you know, we are enemies. So people need to start, women will always take it personal, like, you know, but we need to talk about things. We need to be able to talk to each other whenever we can and ask questions and support each other, because at the end of the day, we're all we have.
Yeah. And I think you answered a little bit of this questions, but I just want to just clarify it too. But how did this particular experience make you realize sisterhood is important?
So yeah, sisterhood is actually very important because we need to support each other. We need to support ourselves with empower a woman, empower a nation, basically. So we need to support each other. Like we are all we have. You're here supporting me today. That's all that matters. So if you didn't come out to support me today, I won't have somebody moderating. Do you understand? So tomorrow, if you need me, I'll be there for you. That's how I see it. So we need to support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And the power of women supporting each other, it helps everyone, including men, because when we're happy, you know, it helps you guys a little bit. So I have my support system. I always ride or die with women, Eunice and Veronica and Rishna. Everywhere I go, you know, they're there to support me and ask feedback. And so people just do not understand that is very, very important. So thank you for sharing that with me. So Roland, your ex-husband? No? Okay, I'm sorry.
Ex-boyfriend.
I apologize. Okay. So Roland is someone you dated and he abused you. All right. So and that was in the book, and I read that, and I wanted to know how important is it for women to look for the signs of an abuser?
So I touched on Roland earlier when I spoke about the person that got abusive, and you know there was signs of violence. So with him, he was married before, and you know I didn't really pay attention to what had happened because it was always his words. You know, when I asked him what happened in the marriage, why did you get divorced, it's only what he tells me that I listen to. You know, so it was just one side of the story. I didn't really know much about him. His family members were all living in some country and were in Ghana. There was no way that I can do my research. There's no way I can ask around. But I got into a relationship with him, and he was very possessive. He was very possessive. So trying to find signs of an abuser is a bit hard, but your intuition will always tell you. And I was young at the time, so I didn't really have all this knowledge I have now. But right now, trust me, there are signs that when I see, I know I'm running. You know, extremely possessive. Calls you 24 hours.
That's a sign.
Texting you 24 hours. If you don't reply, why didn't you text me? There are certain things that you should know that this person is going to be a problem. That is not normal. And some of the guys will even tell you like, hey, I'm an extremely jealous person. You have to start asking, what kind of jealousy? You have to explain. You have to break it down. You tell the signs. You know, this guy woke me up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. I was asleep. Then he's like, holding my phone in the hand. He's like, who is this texting you? And I was like, what? It's like, who sent you this message? The person said, hey, babe. And then I'm like, I don't know who, because there was it wasn't saved. There was no name. And he's like, you tell me who. They told me you've been cheating on me. And da, 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 da. And I was with this guy like 24/7, basically, because he was very possessive. He would drive me to work, pick me up from work. And I thought, oh, he's nice. He didn't want me to spend money on taxi and blah, blah, blah.
He loves me.
But it was, that's how he is. You know, that was him. So when he woke me up, I was like, I don't know who, because if I knew the person, the name would be saved on my phone and all of that. He's like, you have to tell me who this is. Why is the person texting you and saying, hey, babe? So I now, like, paused, and I was like, so you actually woke me up at 2 o'clock in the morning to ask me who, and why are you even in my phone?
Oh, right.
Because the phone wasn't locked. So why are you in my phone? If I had something to hide, I won't, leave it on my phone. And then we went back and forth. I was on the bed, and this guy was over me. So he woke me up as I was sleeping, and he was right over me. So I can't get up. I was stuck there. And the next thing is, you'll be cheating, and your friends told me, and blah, blah, blah. Which friends? I won't tell you the names. And then it went on. And that's how he held me down. In the process, he did what he had to do, beat me up, and then raped me. But when I started screaming, I was like, you're raping me. He said, it's not rape. We're in a relationship, like we're dating. Why can't you say I'm raping you? Do you know what you're trying to say? And I'm like, it's rape because I'm not in the mood. I'm not psychologically fit to do what I'm doing with you or what you're trying to do to me. So he's like, no. Then when he finished, then he started pampering me. It's like a real cycle. Yeah, it was like a cycle. And he pampered me and then had me on lockdown in the house for 2 days. He said, I'm not leaving the house. So I didn't go anywhere. I was just there, scared to death. Because this guy was about 6'6", tall. I'm only 5'7" or 5'8". I'm not that tall. So I can't do anything. I was stuck in the house with him for 2 days till my sister Sonia came into the house, like she's visiting. And she noticed that something was wrong because I just gave her the eye contact, and Sonia just knew. And Sonia just started a fight in the house, and it was forced to say, okay, I'm taking you people home. And when he dropped me off, I pretended like, okay, I'll call you later, and then like, bye. As soon as I jumped into my compound and locked the door, and that was the end of it. I blocked him and everything. And do you know the funny part, like what I said earlier on, is that one of my relatives got married to him.
After all of that?
After all of that, she got married to him. She never asked why I broke up with the guy, and she met him through me because we went out one time, and they exchanged numbers. I don't know how behind my back, and they got married. They have kids together now.
And to this day, she never knows.
She's not okay up here now.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Oh, wow. That was a lot, right, guys? And thank you for sharing that. So I had just been told that I should wrap it up with this question, and we're going to open it up to the floor for Q&A. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So this Toast of Life, it hits every aspect of something that could affect you. And so thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
What are some of your final words that you would like to give anyone who is ready to toast to life?
So my final words would be, this is me being Juliet. This is me being vulnerable. This is my story. This is everything I've gone through in life, and just me letting you know the real me. Not what you see on the gram. The gram is always made up and it's always controlled content, but this is just me opening up. And it touches so many things in here. It's very relatable. A lot of people that have read it, most people when they buy it, they read it the same day. They finish it in a day because it's very relatable. Like they want to know, they want to see, and they see themselves in it. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to tell a story and have people relate. And in New York, at the lunch I had in New York, a lady came up to me and she said, right after she read the book, she started checking into doing her catering business because of the book. So it inspires people in a lot of ways. So it depends on what you want to take out of the book. There's so many pointers in there. There's so many, motivational quotes, a lot of things that I have used over the years. I lived as a refugee, so I had to learn a lot of things on my own. And it's more like a survival book. And if anybody reads it or want to get the book, A Toast to Life, is available on Amazon and the website, atoasttolifebook.com. And you can get it, read it, give me your feedback, and I'm very, very sure that you will love it and you will learn something new from the book. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, everyone. Let's give Ibrahim a hand. Okay, so we're going to take Q&A. Do you want to just ask two questions? Anybody had a question?
Yes, 2 questions.
Okay, he's fixing the mic.
Okay.
Okay, great, great. But while we waiting for the mic, can I, while we have a conversation? So I just wanted to let you know that this book is, I think there will be inspiration. I'm glad that you are here in the States to share with us, because one of my jobs for the African Life is to teach people through a way of fashion, entertainment, and so this is also a way, this book is also a way to teach them about some of the African cultures, and some of, you take us through wars, and some people are not privy to knowing about this, so it is, and especially you, and they'll be very surprised to see it, that it all intertwined, the war, the African culture, the way that our perceptions are. So again, one of my jobs is just to be involved in things like this, just to showcase our culture, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's what, now I'm not going to say it is what it is what it was, that for us to be able to change it. And so you telling your story helps all of us to be able to do that. So with that, I want anybody who had a question? Yes.
Hi.
Can you say your name?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to record. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he has a mic. He has a mic. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I've been reading your book. I'm halfway done. It's fantastic. I have 2 daughters. I hope one day they'll be able to read that book. But I was just curious. You moved around several times, fleeing Civil War.
Yeah.
And I remember reading your book. You had to leave the shop, and the rebels came the same day you left the shop, and you left all your family photos. Quite a bit of photos in your book. And I was just wondering where you were able to save those photos, where did those photos come from? Just curious about that.
That's a very good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So all the ones I kept, I left behind, and then the ones my mom had in her backpack are these ones. So my mom saved some on her. Yeah. My mom saved some on her, and these are the ones I could find. And I was like, at least I have some photos. Yeah. Yeah, because at that time, email wasn't the thing. There was, it was just hard copies of pictures, and everything was left behind. All my special moments were left behind. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. My name is Gideon Adeola, and this is United States, and I have had close relationship with a lot of people that had a close shave experience with death, or not even with death, with trauma that is not even up to yours. And at the same time, these people, most of them end up with it, dealing with PTSD for years. And some of them have to back out from working or going to school, and some of them have to working with therapists for years. And on the other hand, we have an African guy who came from certain miserable African, village here in the United States, and is able to excel in one of the best higher institutions in Harvard University. And I'm looking at you, like, the first impression that I'm going to have looking at you and your sister Sonia is, oh, these people are born with silver spoon, probably from certain rich family, one of the African, rich politicians. And I'm looking at, do you think, how is there something special about African DNA that they are able to survive traumas such as this? And especially someone like you, what's so special? Was there, though she has answered some of the questions, but I want more. Like, what's so special about why are we able to survive poverty, diseases, and all of that? And, that's my question.
All right. Thank you. That's a good one. So what I would say is our mentality, is our traditions, is our morals. From right when we're young, our African parents will always teach us that you have to persevere, you have to be resilient, you have to study hard, you have to work hard to be who you want to be. There are all these things that they keep putting in our minds. Even in church, when we go to church, we always have all these things that put in us from a very young age. So we know that we're supposed to grow and be better and be, make our parents proud, make our family members proud. Unlike people out here, it's different. You don't, even from the age of 15, they start moving out of the family's house, working and living on their own. So you don't even have that family-oriented kind of lifestyle and all of that. That's the difference. Now, suicide and all of that is not in us in Africa. Even though now it's coming into the society, because I think they've been watching too many movies and following too many documentaries and stuff. People are now trying to commit suicide and falling into depression and stuff like that back home. But it wasn't there before. Look at how our mothers and fathers back in the day, they went through a whole lot. They survived, but they will still come out of it strong, and they will find a way to make ends meet even after wars or even after famine or whatever it is that we see on TV or we hear about or read about in books. It's actually the culture. The culture is what matters and what puts that change in us that we want to be better. So even if an African person is going through so much, maybe he lost his business and all of that, the first thing he will run to is not suicide. He will be going to his brother or relative to find out how he can get help in starting a new one. Am I lying? That is the African mentality. We know how to help each other. We know how we want to move forward. It's not just about, oh, I'm alone in this world. My business just collapsed and I'm going to commit suicide. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Yes.
We all Africans. We all proud to be Africans, right? Right. Our situations make us stronger, and I think that's one of God put us where we are for a reason, to make us stronger. And I think one of the things about Africans, why we're so strong, is because of where we come from. We had to survive. We could survive some of the conditions and things that goes on in Africa, then you could survive anything. Anything. So thank you for that question. That was a great question. A great answer too. So we would like to just definitely thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you.
For sure. But we also wanted to thank a couple of people. And please, some of you guys are very bashful, but I would like to, show you guys as well. When I say who you are, can you just show them, just wave your hands. We want to just say a thank you. First, we would like to thank Persona for this beautiful place. One of my favorite places to be. Really elegant place, and love our culture and respect us, and just we're so grateful for the opportunity to be here. I would like to also thank the GNC, Ghana National Council. They are in the house. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And they have been posting and sharing, and people have been looking, so thank you for that. I would like to definitely thank GPNA, Ghana Professionals in North America. Thank you. They are in the house. Mrs. Zinga, Mr. President, thank you. I would like to thank Oja Express, Boyade. Thank you. The food was delicious. And you know me, and you go back and forth about but the Nigerian, but it was the bomb. Felicia said that was the bomb. So I'm always saying Ghana Jollof, but no. Please be quiet.
That was Nigerian jollof. It was good. I had like 2 plates. Really good. Really good. I would also like to thank the Nigerian Napa. I know the Boy Day is part of Napa too. Still are you? Yes. They're not. I think you were one of the representatives here too as well. We'd like to say thank you for them as well. And we just want to say thank you for coming out on a Monday evening. We know it's not easy, but I think that this was very, very important to be. Very important to be here, and you are going to take away something. What she said, all of this is. I'm personally buying a book, so I definitely encourage you to also buy a book. One for sale, yes, and it's right at the corner over there. So please definitely check it out. And are you going to sign them? Oh. Another treat, you know, just definitely, she is going to be a legend. I can't call you a legend now because you're still here, but definitely this is something that you want to pass on to your kids so they can read about it. We also like to thank One Look Events. Thank you so much for just being a sponsor. We really appreciate it very, very much. So thank you guys, and we just give Juliet a little moment to get over there, and then, you know, you guys take pictures, she sign your books. And so thank you so much.
Yeah, you are welcome to this evening. Thank you very much for watching. This is a very special event, A Toast to Life by Juliet Ibrahim, a very powerful actress of Ghanaian, Lebanese, and Liberian descent. This event was hosted by Miss Felicia Appery Agyare, and as usual, the legendary MC NanaONE and also the CEO of OmamaTV supporting the ace and the powerful TV station Trend African TV to host this, to produce this event so that others can also watch it live. Tonight we are at a very, very powerful personal lunch, and I would like to say hi to the lady of the night, who is Miss Juliet Ibrahim. Yeah, as for now she's taking a picture with the host. So, yeah. Hi, hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, can you take this mic?
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, you've changed the mood. You've made the Monday night very powerful. We appreciate your presence.
You.
In fact, I listened to your story and I was really touched. I can see you are a very powerful woman. So, what impact do you want your message to have on the on women of our days?
Yeah, so there's so many messages and points that can be taken out of the book, A Toast to Life, because it is very relatable. Women all over the world are going through things, are experiencing these things, but it's not limiting to the women, because even the men are also going to face these kind of problems now, with the fact that you have men raping men and, you know, those kind of relationships happening. So it's actually happening everywhere in the world. And for the fathers and men who are going into parenting as well, they need to start paying more attention to their kids, you know, because from a very young age, there's molestation happening, there's rapes happening in families. So a lot of things can be taken away from the book. A whole lot is very, the topics in the book is very, very intense, and it's something that we all need to get talking, and we need to stay focused and learn and start doing stuff together as one people in Africa.
Yeah. This evening you quoted something, and I would like to also add to it that there was a great philosopher in Ghana, the late Dr. Agyare. He said, if you educate a man, you educate one person.
Yeah.
But when you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation.
Yes.
So it takes a very bold woman like you to share your experiences. You see, our women or our young sisters and others have been cowered into submission. Like you said, they don't want to tell what happens to them or whatever, I was molested and other things. But with your message, I think women are now being empowered to be able to come out boldly.
Yes.
Thank you for having you here. We are very proud. Nice meeting you. Yeah,
It's a
and I
pleasure.
know your book is going to be a bestseller.
Amen.
So, you mentioned that we can get it on Amazon
Yes,
and other
and the website it's tolestolifebook.com, but it's available on Amazon. Yeah, Amazon, UK, US, Canada, everywhere on Amazon. And the website, you can ship it to anywhere in Africa from the website. It's tolestolifebook.com. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Hey, this is Trend African TV. The one and only way of getting your stuff over the internet for everybody to know what is going on. Tonight we are at the Plush Personal Lounge and we are hosting a very powerful lady, Miss Juliet Ibrahim. I'm your host, the legendary MC, and the CEO of OmamaTV. As usual, like I said, OmamaTV is coming and has been coordinated by Trend African TV. Thank you very much, the CEO of Trend African TV, Royal Black Jesus, and the Empress for, putting me on board, because you know that I'm the legendary and I always host the classic and special event. Give the inferior ones to the boys. Thank you.
My name is Eunice Cromwell, and I'm the business manager of the Ghana National Council.